So last night, Olivia Miles, the Minnesota Lynx, played the Portland Fire. The Portland Fire were down their starting point guard, Carla Lake. 16 points, 6 assists a game. They are playing with backups. So the first thing I wanted to see was, is this another Paige Bueckers thing where they try to compare her to Caitlin Clark, but she doesn't get touched one time the entire game. She doesn't get full court press. She gets a red carpet rolled out for her. And right now I'm showing you last game how they defended Caitlin Clark, so you can see the difference once this video starts. But against the Indiana Fever and primetime games, everybody plays like it's the Super Bowl. I'm going to tell you right now, from what I just saw, Caitlin Clark is going to be miles ahead of all these players. It's not even close to the same way she's defended. Besides the 2 times that she went to the hoop and went to the free throw lines, she got touched 1 time the entire game, lightly, compared to Caitlin Clark getting hit the entire game. She never got touched before it hit half court. She never got full court pressed. She never got double teamed. We're going to go through every single detail. So don't think I'm going to make this up. I always bring the video behind what I'm saying. She airballed 2 3-pointers and they weren't even defending her. She missed 8 layups, and anytime she got any bit of pressure, she threw it to the other team. Her defense, she was a cone, a liability. She either fouled the opposing player or gave up buckets. The last half, the Lynx were up by 29. She was even worse. She didn't do anything on offense, and she gave up every single clutch point to put the Fire back in this ball game. And they claim Caitlin Clark can't play defense. Caitlin Clark can't handle pressure. This would be a night off for Caitlin Clark. She's just nonchalantly just walking up the court, never gets touched, never gets pressure for 40 minutes. We all remember Caitlin Clark's rookie season. You decide what you see when I show you this game. But let's check out the highlights.
So here we go. Olivia Miles gets things started with her first play of the game. And just like I said earlier, she's going to have plenty of room to operate. This is her first 3-point attempt, and look at how wide open she is. Seriously, has Caitlin Clark ever had this kind of space on a 3-pointer? Then Miles drives into the lane virtually untouched. She misses the shot completely, but immediately throws her hands up as if she was fouled. You have to ask, does that really look like contact? Now watch her running back up the court. Look at all that space around her. Nobody is even close. It honestly feels like Paige Bueckers' rookie season all over again. And then we get to the defensive end. Watch her feet, there's barely any movement, and she ends up committing the foul. Look at this possession. She's able to walk the ball up the court without much pressure at all. And apparently that's supposed to be the double team or trap. You can see the difference in intensity. There's no obvious physical pressure on her here, especially compared with the kind of defensive attention Caitlin Clark has faced. Then Miles waves off the isolation play, apparently confident she can take her defender one-on-one, but she gets stripped. Look at this. The defender takes it away, scores the layup, and Miles immediately tries to answer on the other end, as if to say, okay, you got me. But she misses again. And this becomes a recurring theme as the game continues. Let's keep watching. Here we go. And she doesn't get touched. She misses the mid-range shot, then gets another opportunity to attack the basket for an easy layup. Instead, she kicks the ball back out, and when the possession changes, she doesn't immediately get back on defense. She turns toward the referee and starts talking to the official instead. It's just easy for her. Nobody is really putting that physical pressure on her. If this were Caitlin Clark, I don't think she would have a game with this kind of freedom. I've watched and broken down countless games, and the difference in defensive attention is hard to ignore. Miles attacks the basket again without much resistance, misses the layup, and once again isn't sprinting back on defense. Watch closely. She's already outside the frame, and she's not exactly racing back. For a point guard, you'd expect her to be one of the quickest players on the floor. Now look at the press. Look at the amount of space between her and Olivia Miles. She still manages to knock down a tough bucket, and when she gets hit on the play, she celebrates like she just won a championship. Then, on the next possession, she's barely challenged again. She gets to the basket, gets to the free throw line, and there's barely anyone around her. I guess that's supposed to be the trap with two defenders because somehow she still has all that room. I'll give her credit on this one, though that was a really nice pass. No argument there. But then look at her coming back up the court with all the space in the world. It's almost like she's getting a day off. And that's the point I'm making. Caitlin Clark simply doesn't get this kind of freedom. Look at this three-pointer. The amount of separation she gets from her defender is enormous. There's practically no defensive pressure on the shot. Then she commits another foul and reacts with a huge celebration. On the very next sequence, she gets a three-pointer hit right in her face, and the defender's hand isn't even up. Again, the level of defensive pressure just isn't comparable to what Caitlin Clark regularly faces. This looks nowhere close to what Caitlin Clark experienced during her rookie season, sophomore season, or third season. She pulls an Angel Reese-style move, throws the ball up backward, gets the rebound, and still misses the follow-up. And honestly, the overall basketball just doesn't feel that intense or entertaining. Watch this possession. She gets completely fooled by a pump fake, then the little give and go gets shut down, and once again the game slows right back down. This is what the entire game seemed to look like. She gets bailed out on this play, just throws the ball up, gets stuck in the air, and somehow there's still nobody putting real pressure on her. Nobody's making contact, nobody's fighting through screens, no forearms, no grabs. Even the traps look extremely soft. Look at this backdoor cut. She gets beaten again because the defense simply isn't there. And yet, these are the same types of situations where Caitlin Clark gets criticized constantly. Here, Miles is basically being allowed to play her game without that same level of defensive pressure. Now watch this possession. Her shot gets blocked right off the glass, and then she throws the ball out of bounds near the sideline. That's what happens when she finally faces a little pressure. And it gets even more interesting from here. She does make this basket, but once again, she's attacking the rim virtually untouched. Then she nearly puts her own team in trouble with this pass, just throwing it toward her teammate. And finally, look at the amount of space the defender gives her on this shot. The defender actually backs away and gives her even more room. Be honest. Does Caitlin Clark get this kind of space from defenders? And then she airballs it, she doesn't even come close to the rim. So I have to ask, does this really look like an MVP-level performance to you? Or is there a bigger push to make her look better than Caitlin Clark? Because the difference in defensive pressure is hard to ignore. This is probably the toughest defense she faced all game, and honestly, the contrast is almost laughable compared with the kind of game Caitlin Clark just played. Same league, same officials, same level of competition, yet the defensive intensity looks completely different. Olivia Miles commits another foul, and at this point, it feels like she's struggling even against backup players. Look at the defense here. She doesn't even really contest the shot. She just puts a hand up. Then the score is 68-53, and the opposing team starts making a run. Another foul by Olivia Miles. And watch this possession. That's her assignment standing on the three-point line, and she gives up the open three. Suddenly, the lead is down to 10. A lot of this comeback is happening while Miles is struggling defensively. And look at this possession. She finally gets a little pressure, and immediately turns the ball over. The other team keeps making a run, and now that 29-point deficit has been cut all the way down to 6. Watch this defensive play. She allows the player to drive straight into the lane. Seriously, that's the kind of defense we're talking about. Then Miles comes back down the floor and misses another layup. If Caitlin Clark made some of these same mistakes, social media would be going crazy over it. That's the difference in how these performances are treated. It took watching just one game to notice the contrast, and it reminds me of the Paige Bueckers situation all over again. Players getting plenty of opportunities when the defensive pressure simply isn't at the same level. Look at this three-pointer. The defender barely contests it, doesn't even really leave the ground, and Miles gets the shot off. Then she gets another three-pointer right in her face, and suddenly it's a three-point game. The officials give her another break on this possession. There was probably some contact, but she goes down, misses the second free throw, and it's still a 4-point game. And here's the thing. It's not like she's being locked down. There's barely any pressure. With 1 minute left, she gets to casually bring the ball up the court. Caitlin Clark would be dealing with 2 hands on her, defenders pressing into her, and constant physical pressure from start to finish. Miles gets into the lane, barely gets touched, and still gets the whistle. And that essentially becomes the final sequence of the game. That's the difference I'm pointing out.